America, he's done it.
He pulled the trigger.
He pulled the trigger, and the world will never be the same. John Kerry calls this move. What is it? This is the most extraordinary moment of fake news because the economy he describes is not the economy of America. President Obama says, the nations that remain in the Paris Agreement will be the nations that reap the benefits in jobs and industries created. I believe that the United States of America should be at the front of the pack. But even in the absence of American leadership, which is now it's absent, even as this administration joins a small hand of nations that reject the future, to Nicaragua and Syria.
That's good company, right?
Real good company. And the reason why Nicaragua didn't sign was because they didn't think the agreement was ambitious enough.
That's impressive.
And Assad, well, he's Assad.
Yeah, he's got people to gas
and kill. The president goes further. I am confident that our states, our cities, and businesses will step up and do even more to lead the way and help protect for the future generations the one planet we've got. And here is what happened today, America. It's really sick.
Yeah.
So President Trump's decision to withdraw from the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement on Thursday could make it difficult, if not impossible, for the world to stay on track to reach an internationally agreed on goal of limiting dangerous global warming, said scientists. That goal, which sought to limit the warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius or 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, rise above pre-industrial temperatures, was already a stretch. Even before President Trump announced the U.S. exiting in the White House Rose Garden this week. Now, with the U.S., the world's second largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions after China, walking away from the accords, other countries will ramp up their ambitions, right? So other countries are going to have to ramp up their ambitions to meet this goal, or they're going to be like, screw it, back to basics.
Yeah, let's just.
And this is how bad this is.
The entire world.
This is how bad this agreement is. Noticeably absent from today's announcement was the president's Secretary of State. Now remember, John Kerry, the former Secretary of State, was the person who helped put it together.
Right.
Rex Tillerson, the current Secretary of State, wouldn't even go to the announcement because he, as the CEO of Exxon, said this is a great idea. And it'll be a flip-flop for him.
Totally on board.
Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, who both said they missed the meeting because it was a Jewish holiday, so they say.
How convenient. I mean, it is.
It is.
How convenient.
Convenient, because remember.
Said, Donald, do it on this day. We don't want to be there.
Because both Ivanka and Jared set up meetings for the president, meet with people who are like, climate change is real.
I am a scientist.
I am a scientist. Don't believe
this is happening.
This.
Yeah, she was going to be Donald's conscience on climate, right?
Exactly. Now, here's what the president is doing it for, which makes this story even more interesting and funny, right? And so throughout his speech, he's like, I'm doing this for the industrial America. I'm doing this for working people. Blase, blase, blase. I'm doing it for cities like Pittsburgh. And then guess what happens?
I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh right now.
But the president has no clue what's happening in Pittsburgh because the mayor of Pittsburgh responded to the president's speech announcing the withdrawal from the climate change, seeming like everyone is obsessed over this. I was elected by the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris, is what the president said over and over again. And here is what the mayor of Pittsburgh said via Twitter. As the mayor of Pittsburgh, I can assure you that I will follow the guidelines of the Paris Agreement for our people, our economy, and our future. Fact, Hillary Clinton received 80% of the votes in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh stands with the world and will follow the Paris Agreement. Yeah. And he's not the only one. Bill de Blasio, on behalf of the New York City, I commit to honor the goals of the Paris Agreement in an executive order in the next coming days. Yeah. Even the evilest of evil mayors, Rahm Emanuel, who on my list of evil, he's one above the devil, says the president's decision to pull out of the Paris Accords is a poor attempt to pit environmental protection and economic growth against each other. It's a false choice. Chicago has proven you can create jobs while reducing, hold on, let me pull this up here, while reducing the carbon footprint, and we will continue to do both. As President Trump pulls back, we will push forward and reduce our fair share of climate emissions in line with the Paris Accords. The world is depending upon cities in the United States to pick up the mantle of leadership. on climate change. Chicago will happily accept. And they weren't alone, because LA's mayor, Eric Garcetti, Atlanta's mayor, Kasim Reed, excuse me, and Boston's mayor, Martin Walsh, all said the same thing.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure in the next coming days, Detroit Mayor Duggan will be like, I agree. So clearly, the cities that Donald Trump are trying to protect don't need his protection. Because in the state of Michigan, for example, they have created 90,000 green jobs.
Right.
Thanks to the Paris Accords.
So
in
how does that help?
Wisconsin, Scott Walker, known crazy conservative, has an RFP out currently looking for environmental, I forgot the name of the word, looking for like green job contractors to help the government retrofit itself. Everybody gets this, besides the fool that we've elected to be president of the United States, who went out there today and in trying to defend the American people, really is hurting the American people. Because here's the truth. There is no such thing as clean coal. Don't let them lie to you. And if you're a coal miner out there, you know that coal ain't clean.
Yeah.
It's obvious. And you also know that fracking done the way that it's currently being done, which is sloppy and a mess, does no good for the people. Don't take my word for it. Ask the citizens of West Virginia who couldn't drink the water for 21 days.
And could light it on fire.
And could light it on fire. If you don't think that this type of industry is going to work for you, ask the people of Flint who still have lead poisoning in their water. Or maybe the people of East Chicago, Indiana, who their kids can't play outside because the soil is poisoned. Well, the world that Donald Trump wants to set up is this world where, oh, we're going to loosen up all these American jobs and people are going to be just applying for jobs. They're going to be drilling for coal everywhere. That is a false reality. It does not exist. It won't happen. It can't happen. Okay? So don't let Donald Trump lie to you. Please.
For Donald Trump, this is kind of my only guess on why one might do this. Donald Trump is so selfish. He's a 70-year-old man, right? For him and his lifetime,
he'll be fine.
This is not going to affect him at all. Climate change is not going to affect anything that he does for the rest of his life. That's a fact. He's going to be dead in 20 years, 30 if he's having an amazing time, right? Maybe 10. You know, his lifespan is not long. For him, he's thinking, how can we make as many short-term profits as humanly possible, and then I'm out, right? You can't have a 70-year-old with no foresight setting the agenda for the rest of history.
But here's another thing, and the other thing you hear. A couple weeks ago on Fox News, where I work, my other job, the coal baron, his name is Bob Murray, right? He's like the coal tycoon. He said himself, quote, "These coal jobs are never coming back."
Right.
Period. So I don't know where Donald Trump gets this notion that he's going to pull out of the Paris Accords, which is a voluntary agreement, by the way, not signed by Congress, has no real enforceability. It was us, all the world coming together and saying, hey, we're going to do something about this, without just hold hands and we're going to have a gentleman's agreement. He pulls out of it. It's not going to create these amazing coal jobs. It's not going to unleash America's potential.
Right.
It's really not. It's just not going. It's not going to happen. So the babble of a speech the president gave today, which it really was babbling, right? It was very much nonsensical. It sounded very much, what's the word I'm looking for here? It sounded all over. It was just all over the place. Yeah. It was really all over the place. It was like job, blah, blah, terrorism. I'm like, well, how'd you get from there to there? Right? Like all these, like it was all over the place. He clearly just read what they wrote for him, and I don't know who a speechwriter is. Clearly, they're not a good speechwriter, right? He just read it off the paper and didn't understand what any of it meant. And I don't think it's because he's stupid. I just don't think he really understands the intricacies of climate change, because it's not. I don't really understand all the intricacies of climate change. But here's what I do know. What I do know is the people that are most vulnerable, the most vulnerable Americans, black people, brown people, poor people, y'all, including us, are going to be the ones that are affected by the policy that the president's trying to tell you is going to help you. Steve Mnuchin, right, or Pruitt, or Mike Pence, or Donald Trump, or Ivanka, or Jared, they're not going to be affected by this. They're going to be in New York. They'll buy. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where the president's like, I could just buy my air, and my air will be clean, and it'll be fine, right? But when you drill these coal mines, like I said, when you frack this land, It's the rural parts of West Virginia that can't drink water for 21 days, and they can't afford bottled water from Walmart like Donald Trump can in perpetuity, right? They can't afford that. So when we think about climate change, and it's like Rahm Emanuel said, I don't like him, but he's right. It's a false choice between environmental protection and economic growth, because if you're going to crap on the environment and have just a big diarrhea on the environment in order to grow the economy, remember, the environment is where we live. The environment, like, don't think about the environment as this abstract, like Yogi the Bear, you know,
like forest,
you know, Yosemite Park. The environment is when you walk outside. And if you go to China where they have to wear like face masks because there's just smog and smut and disgust, that's the environment, people. The environment, in real terms, in real stark terms, the environment is pretty simply three things: the air we breathe, the water we drink, the land we walk on. Those three things. That's the environment. Right. And so when you do this and you say we're going to crap on the environment in order to create jobs, that means we're going to crap on the air. We're going to pollute the water. The ground's going to be disgusting. What do you think's going to happen to people working at the jobs? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy we're creating here, and this guy it's so nonsensical of what he's doing, and he's like, the fact that he wants to take, like, and the reason why the world is laughing at us is because he wants to take this world back. Even Russia signed this damn thing. Even the Russians signed this.